Today, we are going to match letters to the beginning sounds in some words. This is the letter D. What sound does the letter D spell? D. Right. Now let's look at a few pictures and see which one begins with that sound. Fish, duck, octopus. Which one begins with D? Yes, D. Duck begins with D. Feet, apple, doghouse. Which one begins with D? Doghouse begins with the letter D. Cookie, dinosaur, rabbit. Which one begins with D? Dinosaur begins with the letter D. Donut, mask, pencil. Which one begins with D? Donut begins with the letter D. This is the letter F. What sound does the letter F spell? F. Pants, cot, fence. Which one begins with F? Fence. Fence begins with the letter F. Ring, firefighter, monkey. Which one begins with F? Firefighter. Dolphin, pie, fox. Which one begins with F? Fox begins with the letter F. Ox, feather, robe. Which one begins with F? Feather begins with the letter F. This is the letter R. What sound does the letter R spell? R. Apple, rainbow, October. Which one starts with R? Rainbow begins with the letter R. Dog, rose, map. Which one begins with R? Rose. Rose begins with the letter R. Mitt, run, cup. Which one begins with R? Run begins with the letter R. Popcorn, raccoon, door. Which one begins with R? Raccoon begins with the letter R. This is the letter O. The letter O says ah. See how I have my octopus up here? Ah. Roller coaster, ostrich, sad. Which one begins with ah? Ostrich. Ostrich begins with the letter O. Olives, drum, mug. Which one begins with ah? Olives begins with the letter O. Add, omelet, clock. Which one begins with ah? Omelet begins with the letter O. This is the letter T. The letter T spells T. Twins, rug, pot. Which one begins with T? Twins. Deer, two, mouth. Which one begins with T? Two. This is the letter C. The letter C spells K. Toy, mouse, cactus. Which one begins with K? Cactus. Cake, axe, match. Which one begins with K? Cake. This is the letter H. The letter H spells hose, scissors, astronaut. Which one begins with hose? Let's go on to part 2. Now we're going to read the heart words that we learned the other day by playing 2 games. In our first game, when you see a word pop up onto the screen, say the word out loud. Go ahead and say it. My. In. The. In. My. I'm pausing for a second so that you get a chance to say the answer first. Then I'll say the answer so you can check to make sure you have it. In. My. The. Good. In our next game, you will see 3 words on the screen. When you see the red dot, you will stop and look at the 3 words. When you see the yellow dot, you will think about the words and try to remember them. When you see the green dot, you'll say the words out loud. You'll go ahead and say them first, and then I'll say them after to check. The, my, in. Stop and look. Think. Go ahead and say. My, in, the. Stop and look. Think. Say. The, in, my. Stop and look. Think. Say. In, my, the. Look. Think. Go ahead and say it. The, my, in. Stop and look. Think. Say. My, in, the. Stop and look. Think. Say. The, in, my. Stop and look. Think. Say. In, my, the. Good. Let's go on to part 3. We're going to read some words by sounding them out. Let's get started with this word. Watch how I sound it out. Ah, p, hop. Good. Now let's do one together. Say this one with me. Let's say each sound. P, a, d, pad. T, a, p, top. R, I, m, rim. S, a, d, sad. Make sure you're saying it with me. At, at. It, hit. K, a, p, cop. D, I, p, dip. K, a, p, cap. D, a, t, dot. H, a, d, had. F, I, t, fit. H, a, t, hot. a mop. Ram. It mad mad. Sip sip. One more. Tap tap. Good work today.